What is up, everyone? Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get it going. Let's talk some college football. Here are my three best bets for the noon slate here on week 2 as we get into NCAA football even deeper. We have three best bets. I'm going to break down those games and get you guys on your way. And make sure you all have that notification bell turned on because we will be dropping the afternoon as well as my primetime picks for those later games out there on the West Coast and beyond. So that's where we're at. Also, NFL picks will be up for tomorrow. We have two games in the books, Thursday, Friday. We've had great games. Both of those games really keeping us up and really had a lot of action. I think that's where we were right with a lot of the handicaps, and that's where you look to continue on that streak as well. So let's get it going. Let's talk some college football. That first game we're going to get into, we're going to dive into the outlier here. And if you guys aren't using outlier to make your bets, do not be at a disadvantage as we get into the football season, right? So hopefully you guys like this. It's something where if you're looking for insights, props, edges, whatever you want, betting splits, it definitely, in my opinion, has a clear-cut advantage if you're using this to make your bets week in and week out. I do not make a bet without it. I'll have a link down below if you do want to sign up today for a 7-day free trial, okay? And that will just be a trial because I actually have a subscription. I have the premium subscription. And for the amount of bets we make here on a daily basis, it's just it renders itself priceless. Okay, but anyways, we're gonna get into the first game on the card: Bowling Green and Penn State. This is a little one where I do like the Falcons in this spot. We're gonna be taking them plus 35. Now, a little bit of a trendy dog. I usually fade trendy dogs. That's a system play that I like, especially within college football. It seems to be if everybody's talking about, oh, this team's coming on the road, this team, yada, yada, not so fast. But with this matchup, I think that Drew Allar, having a little bit of a different offensive coordinator under his belt, we saw what they were able to do with week 1 against West Virginia. West Virginia might have been sleepwalking in that matchup, but there was some rain, there was some weather delay, stuff like that. So that kind of played a role. However, West Virginia fell victim to the likes of Penn State, and it wasn't pretty, okay? It wasn't pretty, but we did see Penn State come out of that one 34-12 in that matchup, covering as a 7.5-point favorite. And conversely, we look at Bowling Green, 41-17 over Fordham. So Bowling Green can play some football. Okay, I think they're going to be probably a little bit underrated as we get into the season. We saw what they were able to do at the end of last season. And had a lot of success within their bowl game, as well as I think it was the last game of the season, the rivalry game against Toledo, kind of just really taking it to them. That was one I think that caught a lot of bettors off guard. But this is something where we look into Bowling Green and Penn State. I do like the fact that I think the sharper side is Bowling Green. Give me 5 touchdowns on the road. We look at this game a little deeper. Noon kickoff, maybe catch Penn State sleeping a little bit. They were preparing for West Virginia, that rivalry across the border down south. And I think that's something where you look at Bowling Green able to game plan against Fordham. They were going to be doing some install for Penn State. I think that's something that's going understated. And what we look at for Bowling Green, one of the key factors here that's something that they did give up a lot of yardage to Fordham, and that's something that does concern me as we get into this matchup because James Franklin, I think, through the course of time, when he does he kind of makes statement games, and that's kind of where I'm getting at. It seems to be, if you're ever not covering with Penn State late, it seems there's always that 40-yard, 50-yard rush that just comes and takes your breath away. Okay, but that's something where I think Bowling Green's going to be able to run the clock. I think that they're going to be able to, both teams are going to throw the football. I think we're going to see a lot of scoring. And if you look at the total in this, okay, the total's set at 49.5. I do see some value when we can take 35 points because if we do go under that total where there is a lot of the betting splits indicating that we are leaning towards going in that direction, give me 35 points. That does correlate. That gives us very little room for error for Penn State. So if Bowling Green's able to put up 2 touchdowns and a field goal, I'm very confident we get this one done with 35 here, taking it with the Falcons. Okay, next game we're going to talk about. This is going to be one of the more interesting ones on the card. This will be my second best bet. We get into Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Now, Dino Babers out for the Orange, and we have now a matchup where Kyle McCord comes in, transferring from Ohio State, matching up against Georgia Tech, where, quite frankly, this is a kind of a buy low spot, I guess, in terms of the crowd, right? Syracuse is a trendy dog, okay, and just once again, we're going to talk about this. I like to fade the trendy dog, and Syracuse, right now, getting 3 points at home. Seems to be everybody I've talked to throughout the course of the week likes Syracuse in his spot. That's good enough for me, guys. That's good enough for me. So we're going to be all over Georgia Tech. I also think that the way Georgia Tech runs the football, and if you did watch that Florida State game, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, overreaction on Georgia Tech." All right, the Yellow Jackets, are fool's gold. Florida State's horrible. Florida State had a horrible outing against Boston College. I'm going to hit that panic alarm. I think that we're going to look into this and see halfway through the season that the ACC might be a little bit down, but I do think that Georgia Tech and the likes of Boston College are up. Okay, I think that don't undervalue a middle of the road, bottom tier, ACC school just because the projected front runner is having a bad year. Okay, don't let them bring that stock down. I think this is how you can capitalize. It's kind of a great spot for Georgia Tech too. I love them in this spot. I wish they were getting points, but Kyle McCord, I'm also not a fan of his. Transferring over from Ohio State, looks like he did the job, I guess you would say, against Ohio, but 38-22 against a MAC school, and I'm not down on MAC schools, but quite frankly, I just think that Georgia Tech's going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. I think their defense is intense. I think that both of these schools are going to play great defense. So I got a strong play, kind of conversely to going against the going against the under. I think the under is a kind of where everybody's at on this one, but I do think that Georgia Tech can rattle McCord, and this is kind of where we're at. Okay, I think this is something where Georgia Tech's quarterback, Haynes King, presents a huge challenge for any defense, and I think this is something where you look back at last year's matchup. I mean, check it out. Dino Babers, now out as head coach at Arizona as the offensive coordinator. But if you've watched any Syracuse games, they were scrappy in their own right, ranked in some points during the season. But Georgia Tech was able to take them down kind of with ease. And that total, I think, got up to 50-plus points in that game. So kind of where I'm at within this one, guys. Okay, we see this total at 61.5. That's a lot of points. So will we get that? Probably not. Like I said, my lean would be towards the under, but I'm going to snag Georgia Tech minus 2.5. That'll be my second best bet. Okay, go against the crowd noise, and we're going to take the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Okay, I think this is kind of a buy low spot. I think they're being undervalued. Too much steam on Syracuse and Kyle McCord. I'm not buying it. So let's take Georgia Tech as my second best bet. Okay, and let's get into the final game that we will have a bet on. And guys, this one will be the most watched game of the day, and I generally try to stay away from these games, okay? But in this spot, I just think this one's kind of, I don't want to say a no-brainer, but for me and my money, this is one where I just need to see Michigan prove it, okay? And I'm not going to use the pedigree. I'm not going to use, let them walk into the sports book with their championship rings and basically tell me where to put my money. All right, this is a new look Michigan squad. I think they return 5 starters. One of those starters is the punter, if my memory serves me correct. And that's kind of where I think this is where you're letting the brand name take over your bet. And this is something that I use. It's kind of a great tool if you guys want to handicap power rank teams. And I think it's something that if you guys are watching me for some of my betting strategy, it's a great thing that I've done since, this has been almost a decade since I've been doing this. If you're really stuck on a number, you're stuck on doing things, before you even look at the odds board, you look at your sheet, make sure, take the names off the jersey. That's what I tell people. Handicap the game and just put, just kind of like they're doing their ranking systems. Do a question mark or just whatever you want to call it, Team A, Team B, and handicap the games. ESPN used to do a lot of great graphics where you take the logo off of the resumes. And if you look at it from a statistical standpoint, a lot of times you'll find yourself making bets just on based off what logo is on the jerseys or what names are on the jerseys, if we're talking props. And that's not the best way to go about things, right? So Michigan at the Big House, this is a spot where I've been to a lot of games there at the Big House. I understand the concern. Oh, it's a tough place to play. I've been to a lot of stadiums, which in my opinion, I think get a lot louder. That's just me. I think it gets a little bit of reaction just because of how it's underground and, the stadium size capacity wise. But I think this is just a huge kind of a prove it spot for me. Okay. I like Quinn Ewers. I like what they're doing. I think that this is something where you worry about Texas's offensive line. And you kind of look into this, I just don't think Michigan can compete. I don't like what they did with head coach. They should have went outside of the program, in my opinion. But what do I know? But that's just something where I look into what they were able to do. The whole Connor Stallions thing. Go outside the program, start fresh, right? Do a reset, and I think that Michigan has the brass to do that. And I think that this is where this might backfire. So I'm not going to say it's going to get ugly. Everybody's predicting for a, kind of that phone booth, cagey game here. But what we were able to see is Texas dropped 52 with ease against Colorado State, which that's not going to be so crazy of a number here, I think, in a couple weeks. Okay. And then we can look into kind of Steve Sarkisian and what he's going to do offensively. I just think that he's going to be outranking in terms of the coaching pedigree. I think this one is right there in front of us. And this is the game I think we wake up Sunday feeling one way or another. And in my opinion, my money is going to be putting on the Texas Longhorns hat here, and we're going to be taking Longhorns. I was able to actually bet this earlier in the summer, and I got a very good number here with Texas. Right now, we're going to give out a 7 here on the channel. I've seen this number get bought down. It was 7.5 for the Longhorns, but I'm going to wait, let the Michigan people wake up, let the public money come in. Betting's legal in Michigan. Let that kind of just dive in there, let it seize and resonate, and then closer to kickoff, I'm going to be taking the Longhorns minus 6.5. They'll be in teasers as well, kind of all over. I know the value is going to be on Michigan, but I just think that for my money, I think this is a spot where I think that Texas, as long as they get through kind of this phone booth, ugly game that Michigan, I think, is going to look to turn into, and they're going to look to out-physical them. This is where I think Texas rolls here, okay? And you got to understand some of the numbers here. I'm completely aware of Michigan, how good their defense is, but for a lot of people that think that Texas is coming, back to the playoffs and they're going to get it done in that perspective, you got to give me the Longhorns in this spot. It's just something where I think that Michigan, if they didn't win the national championship this year, I don't think they would be a single point favorite. I think this would be a double-digit favorite for the likes of Texas. So that's kind of where I'm at. There's no real numbers to back that up in terms of that. All the numbers kind of favor the likes of Michigan. But for me, I'm going to think this one's going to be kind of a nasty kind of game. But I do see Texas winning by one score, one touchdown, fading the Wolverines here. Let's wait a little bit closer to noon. We'll get a better number, in my opinion, and that's kind of where I'm going to be taking the Longhorns, minus 6.5, if we can get that number again. Like I said, I already bet it earlier in the summer, so I'm kind of locked in on that. But I think Texas gets into the 20s, maybe 30s, and Michigan, I think, fails to score 3 touchdowns in the spot. So that's my handicap. Those are my 3 best bets. I wish you guys all luck with your plays. Here is a breakdown of my 3 best bets. So just for a recap, we're going to do Georgia Tech minus 2.5, Texas minus 7 for the channel, and then Bowling Green plus 35. So those will be my 3 best bets. Afternoon picks will be out very shortly. Hope you guys are all doing well. Remember to subscribe on your way out, and we'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.